Today, somewhere on Earth is off to discover Ecuador. This little South American country is bordered by the Pacific Ocean with its long sandy beaches. The Andes cut across north to south. This is the realm of majestic volcanoes. To the east lies the vast Amazon basin and its ageless forest. Xavier left Perpignan in France 20 years ago. This ornithologist moved to Ecuador for its incredible biodiversity. Always on the lookout for new discoveries, his curiosity has drawn him to the roof of Ecuador. Jorge is a ULM pilot. Whenever the weather permits, this adventurer takes to the air to slalom through the clouds and mountain peaks. Today, he'll be helping his friend Armando study a rather surprising animal, the mountain tapir. On the Rio Napo, the rivermen live in harmony with nature. Teo is setting off for the heart of the Amazon. With one foot in his ancestral culture and another in today's modern world, Teo is well placed to understand this hostile environment.
Look at all the wonders we have here, all this beauty. We should be careful with it and cherish it. Then the Mother Earth will thank us and take care of us.
Maria. Venga, 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 venga.
Maria. Come, Maria.
No responde la Maria.
Maria's not answering.
Maria, Maria.
Angel Paz is a farmer. When he bought this plot of land in the forest, he did what everyone else here does. He started to clear it for planting. But then one day he discovered a new family, the creatures of the forest, hundreds of birds that he has managed to tame.
Shakira.
And since, he has established a rather surprising relationship with them.
Her name is Shakira. I called her that, actually, because she dances like that young Colombian performer. They're part of my family. Like Maria, the bird we were looking for this morning, a giant ampita. I named her Maria, which is my wife's name.
Angel lives in the cloud forest at an altitude of 1,400 meters. This wondrous world is inhabited by gigantic trees and a myriad of colorful birds. When his friend Xavier pays him a visit, Angel is only too happy to share what he's managed to preserve. His passion for the wildlife all around him has changed his life. Now he earns his living by taking bird lovers on tours to observe his family of feathered friends. Thanks to endless patience, the birds respond to his songs and come to eat out of his hand.
It's such a kick with birds like these. It's enough to give you the shivers. These are the kind of spots you can share with people who have the same passion. This makes it twice as much fun because you're not alone. You think, I'm not crazy. There are other people who are a little off the wall too. It's a good feeling. It's reassuring.
Xavier, a Frenchman from Perpignan, has been living in Ecuador for 20 years. This is where he truly discovered the realm of birds and became an ornithologist. Ecuador is home to 13% of the world's bird species, 1,600 in all. Xavier is now the director of a natural reserve on the fringes of the Amazon. Its goal is to protect this incredible biodiversity. He spends most of his time in the forest, alert for the slightest flutter of a wing.
In any case, man has an animal instinct. So the act of tracking down these birds to observe them or to photograph them, I think it's a throwback to the hunter instinct. It's an attempt to get closer to nature. In this case, it's for a good cause. With others, it's for a bad cause. But I think that deep down, the physiological drive is really the same.
Punta Blanca, a little village situated on the equator, looks out onto the Pacific Ocean. Xavier is making a little visit to his friends, Elsa and Maria, two Ecuadorians who have become fisherwomen with a philosophical bent.
I love freedom. Where are you going? What for? Where have you been? No way. Ask me no questions. I grab my things and I take off where I like. I don't depend on anyone.
When Xavier gets together with his friends, they love to spend hours discussing the state of the world, to the lapping of the ocean waves on the shore.
For me, that phrase pretty much sums up Ecuador. We don't earn much, but we do have fun. It's the festive aspect, a bit Latino. The preference for an enjoyable way of life rather than a rich way of life. It's not what most people are after. You're much more aware of the days and years going by when you're in that frame of mind, rather than trying to fight against time.
Here in Ecuador, Xavier has found what he was looking for: big-hearted people, a rapidly developing country, and above all, lush, thriving wildlife. He's always on the lookout for that rare bird, and he's ready to go hundreds of kilometers to get a shot of a frog in the Amazonian forest or a migratory bird on its way through the Andes. Today, he's headed to Antisana, a volcano close to 6,000 meters high, to meet some glaciologists from Quito.
This route we're following here snakes back and forth, north and south, across the equator. It's very symbolic of Ecuador itself. Really one of the best representations you could get. We're right in the middle of the world. It's funny because I went from Perpignan, which, according to Salvador Dali, is the center of the world, to this place, the middle of the world. There's always that same feeling that has a kind of hold on me.
Xavier is now crossing the Andes through a barren zone of majestic volcanoes and glaciers. Here, up at 4,000 meters, one finds a totally different landscape.
You pass from one landscape to another, one atmosphere to another, one extreme temperature to another, in the blink of an eye. It's really wild. It's fascinating, and you don't get tired of it. You can do it again and again, and each time you'll see the landscape in a different light, with a different atmosphere, with new animals, new colors. It's so rich.
Xavier is nearing Antisana. For several years now, he has been working with a group of glaciologists who are measuring the effects of the climate change.
Basically, it's thanks to my nosy character that I got to know these glaciologists working on the Antisana volcano. Going out in the field with them to help in their observations of these glaciers has given me a better understanding of how this ecosystem works. And it's allowed me to assimilate a lot of complementary information. And that information will help me in my own conservation work.
Gustavo, an accomplished mountaineer, is leading the climb. Juan and Xavier have to follow the pace set by the high mountain guide. (5,100 meters up, the three men attain their first objective, one of Ecuador's highest weather stations.
I collect the temperature and humidity readings recorded by the stations. We have to come and do this job every month. We'll analyze the data later in the lab. What happened? Did it snow? What kind of temperatures have we had? The hardest part is just coming up here.
The climbers continue to make their way up Antisana. Juan and Xavier are aiming to reach a corridor of ice 5,300 meters up. Once there, they'll take a core sample from the heart of the glacier. Every year they come here to study the evolution of the ice and listen to the creaking of this immense frozen torrent.
This mountain is situated in the eastern part of Ecuador. It's under the influence of both the Amazon and the Pacific. We even have certain evidence proving that the climatic phenomena like El Niño and La Niña have an effect on the amount of precipitation this mountain gets. We work on site in the mountains as much as in the laboratory. But in the end, our natural lab is right here. This part here is more recent snow. It's fresher. Here, it's older, more compact. This represents about 1 year of precipitation. I just love all this. If I could work up here every day, it would be ideal. When I climb this volcano, my face just lights up. This mountain is part of me.
Antisana is one of my favorite spots. Firstly, because it's so beautiful. It's really quite extraordinary. It's a very rugged climb, but at the same time very beautiful. So it's a trade-off. Plus, at the base of the glacier, there's an unbelievable biodiversity. People who come to Ecuador and fall in love with it do so because of the amazing landscapes and the generosity of nature, which has given us all this vast space and riches.
Xavier has found here the vistas that fulfill his dreams of freedom. He has found his place at 0 degrees latitude on the equator. Traveling the wilderness of Ecuador is a unique experience. Jorge is an adventurer of the sky and a pioneer of ultralight aviation in South America. He's been flying over his country with its limitless horizons for 27 years.
It gives you such an intense feeling of freedom. You can enjoy the scenery and fly wherever you want without worrying about the road or traffic. With this plane, you're free. It's not at all expensive, and you can go wherever large planes can't, and land on much shorter runways. You're flying with the wind, blowing through your fingers and on your face. Ecuador is a small country with a lot of diversity. You're in these 6,000-meter mountains, and an hour later you can be down on the Pacific coast, on the beach, or in the tropical forest. It's very rich.
Jorge is a pilot, writer, and high mountain guide. A photographer as well. His books on Ecuador from the sky have made him famous throughout the country. Now he's preparing for his next flight into the Páramo, a mountainous zone 4,000 meters up. There he's going to meet a friend, Armando, a naturalist.
Armando called me. I have to make a flight. He's got a problem with the instrument he uses to locate the wild animals. I'm going to bring him a spare cable up near Ayacachi. Then I'll come back.
Ya vuelvo.
Jorge, the self-taught aviator, built his first ULM in his own hangar. He learned how to fly without an instructor. He was a pioneer 30 years ago. He flew above the Andes in his ULM all the way down to Patagonia, the southernmost point of South America. Jorge is flying over the Paramo. It would be impossible for him to land in these swampy mountains. He spots Armando from the plane and decides to fly in closer. He has to drop a little parachute with the equipment that will allow Armando to carry on his mission. Armando and his team are trying to locate mountain tapirs, the emblematic mammal of the Paramo. Some of them have been equipped with radio transmitters. This timid animal is an endangered species, but Armando hopes that by studying its behavior, he will be able to do a better job of protecting them.
Without this cable, it's practically impossible to locate the tapir. We know he's in this area, but it's going to take some time to find out exactly where. But then he might get wind of us, and we won't be able to get close. Without the radio localization, we can't do anything. So many thanks to Jorge, who managed to fly up here despite the bad weather conditions. But he's really an ace. The cable is really very important. Now that we have it, we'll be able to localize the tapir and track him down. I hope we'll be able to observe him without disturbing him.
The ULM is an all-terrain machine. Thanks to it, Jorge can do precious favors for those working in the country's more isolated regions. Jorge and his ULM have helped a good number of scientists in their research. He takes up archaeologists on observation flights over the Inca sites, volcanologists to get in close to the still active volcanoes, and biologists to spot birds nesting in the canopy of the Amazonian forest.
It's total freedom. There's no private property up in the sky. No stoplights, no reckless drivers. If you're curious about what's on the other side of the mountain, you just go there. If you want to take a look at the bottom of a valley, you fly down. You're living a form of freedom. Plus, it allows you to see the beauty of the world from a different point of view. This motor is adapted for flying. It's totally reliable because the vital parts are backed up with a spare. But it's rather simple. You have to take good care of it because if something happens up in the air, you can't just pull over and take a look under the hood. But it's rather simple and very dependable. It runs well. She's a good gal.
Flying up at 5,000 meters in such a light craft is not something just any pilot can do. Jorge has the humility of those who are living out their dreams to the fullest and who aren't afraid of anything. Now Armando's detector is working. He and Jorge have taken to the air to locate the mountain tapirs fitted with radio transmitters. Not much is known about this strange, rare animal. Armando is the world's specialist on spectacled bears and mountain tapirs, two endangered species. The area Jorge and Armando just flew over is a reserve. But elsewhere, the mountain tapir is hunted. These two men are studying all the wild animals living in these protected but inaccessible regions.
Jorge has been a great help in locating the animals we're studying. He gives me their coordinates and tells me if they're on the move, where he has detected them. Frankly, the only way to pick up the signal in this region is the ULM. It's not possible otherwise, and it's very expensive to rent a helicopter.
I take pictures while I'm flying. I also use this opportunity to listen for the signals from the bears. Sometimes I'll go up without Armando, just to see if the bears say hello.
In just a few minutes, clouds moving in from the Amazon have heaped up on the Paramo Mountains, and a storm obscures the horizon. The flight with Jorge has allowed Armando to home in on the mountainside where a tapir is living. He's now continuing his pursuit on foot. The terrain is tough going, with high grass and pockets of icy water. At last, they arrive at the mountain tapir's sanctuary.
It's really close now. It's very important to study this animal because we know so little about it. If we were to know it a little better, we might be able to protect it and save it.
The Paramo lies on the fringe of two worlds, between sky and earth. Armando, in his study of the last mountain tapirs, is merely passing through these age-old landscapes that will remain forever untamed. Jorge, on board his ULM, never tires of flying over these territories which he finds so fascinating. And even though he knows that he's merely skimming the surface of these vast virgin expanses, he is fulfilling his dreams of adventure. Teo is on his way home to his village after a long scientific expedition on the Rio Napo. Teo is one of the best guides of the Amazon, one of the few to dare travel these rivers that snake deep into the jungle. He'll be collecting plants from the riverbanks all along the way home.
For me, there's nothing better than living an adventure like this. We see the wonders of the Amazon, which is like the eye of the world, the center of the earth. And if we don't take advantage of it now, all this will be lost with the passing of time. All this vegetation will disappear. Here, nature's at her very best.
When Teo was 20, he had the opportunity to leave his country for England. In Leeds, he discovered another jungle, the city. He studied natural sciences and earned a diploma in biology. Then a few years later, he came back to Ecuador, where he quickly resumed his place in his native community on the banks of the Rio Napo, deep in the forest. Navigating this river is a lesson in patience and solitude. It winds through the Amazon for over 1,000 kilometers. It takes its source in the west, in the glaciers of the Andes, and meets the Amazon River in Peru. Teo's pirogue is the ideal boat for traveling down the river. He has christened it Hauira Kausai, go like the wind. It's a long and dangerous trip down the river. There are many obstacles, and they're constantly shifting. Sandbanks and submerged tree trunks become mortal traps. Teo in the prow keeps his eyes glued to the surface of the river. He's looking for the best path through the water and guiding Claudio, the pilot. And here's what happens most of the time. The water level is very low. Teo has to pull the boat along the shore. It's the only way to get past the shallow sandbank. And here is the gateway to the vast Amazon basin. This is the world's largest rainforest, 1.5 times the size of Europe. The Amazon is a legend. It looks like a vast green poncho rolling off into the endless horizon. An El Dorado coveted for its riches, it evokes both a green inferno and paradise lost. The Amazon is menaced by deforestation and the extraction of oil. For years now, the indigenous communities like Teos have been organizing and taking action for the recognition of their ancestral rights. Once nomads of the forest, they have gradually become the main defenders of this green continent. Termites are a delicacy for piranhas. The little predators serve as bait to catch bigger ones. Today's menu, Amazon piranha.
Ay, 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 mierda, se me fue la grande, loco, chucha.
It's over 40 degrees, and the sweltering heat beats down like a hammer on the men and nature. The Amazonian jungle may appear harsh and inhospitable, yet for Teo and his companions, it's like a childhood friend, a land of plenty, all within easy reach.
Me siento feliz porque estoy en el centro de
I'm happy here because I'm living in the lungs of the earth, in the center. No pollution, no buildings, no skyscrapers. All you can see are huge trees, incredible lagoons, unspoiled rivers, like this one here.
There's no relief from the heat here, even after the sun goes down. With the darkness, a different world is unveiled. To get back to his village, Teo crosses the Panacocha lagoon, a labyrinth of channels, lakes, and flooded forest. water, light, and a world of exuberant greenery. Life is bursting out here in all its forms. The lagoon is an eerie mirror, reflecting the image of an age-old, inaccessible garden.
To carry through this kind of adventure, it's really important, first off, that we all trust one another. You have to have a tightly knit group. We have to be able to anticipate what needs to be done and prepare very carefully for the expedition to be a success. Because it may look easy, but in the jungle, you have to make sacrifices and sweat for the group to keep functioning smoothly and to get what you're after.
3 centuries ago, the early explorers also experienced the hardships of an adventure in the Amazon. In 1736, a French research expedition led by Charles-Marie de la Condamine landed in Ecuador. They came to verify whether the Earth was a perfect sphere or not. And they paid a very heavy toll for the measurements that they carried out. The expedition was ravaged by tropical diseases. For the return journey to France, La Condamine undertook the tremendous gamble of heading east across the Amazon jungle. The explorers, with their native guides, had to survive in the heart of the forest. They followed the rivers down to the Amazon and eventually reached Brazil. During this return trip, Charles-Marie de la Condamine mapped the rivers of the region and made a detailed description of the cinchona tree, which yields quinine used to prevent malaria. He also discovered the rubber tree and the usage of curare. The expedition would last 10 years. At the heart of native spirituality are strong links between man, nature, and the cosmos. This culture is deeply ingrained in Teo. In the jungle, he feels the force of the spirits that dwell there. He recalls the legends that his mother passed on to him as she would drink guayusa, a brew of forest plants. This tradition is a time-honored ritual. It's the moment for the elders to relate the stories that continue to forge the native culture. The shamans always invoke Pachamama, the sacred earth mother.
They say that the goddess Pachamama has the power to petrify the animals of the forest. This goddess will return when the earth can no longer bear what we've been inflicting on her. She will come back as a very old person with a long beard. And then she will release all the petrified animals who will exterminate the humans.
This indigenous spiritual vision allows one to understand how the world was before and how to live better in today's world as well. These stories tell how, at the beginning, Pachamama had blessed our planet She's the one who created things as they are for us. This harmony of nature, man and animal. I firmly believe in this vision, which has been handed down to us through these stories.
Teo's mother has asked him to collect certain specific plants. For a long time, the communities of the Amazon kept the secrets of medicinal plants to themselves. Even now, all the communities on the Rio Napo still use these natural remedies.
Look, this one's good. Go ahead. Make a cut here.
What we do is collect the sap of this tree. We use it as a natural medicine. It can be used to treat malaria and diabetes. We call it dragon's blood.
This is one of the most useful trees in the Amazon. It has a number of virtues. For example, you can use it to heal wounds. You do like this, and it becomes a cream. It's also good as protection from the sun. Plus, with 1, 2, maximum 3 drops of sap, you can purify 1 liter of water.
Aquí está uno. Vamos a sacar acá.
Here we have a very special tree of the Amazon. This species of palm tree grows straight up to benefit from the sunlight. But if another tree overshadows it and takes the light, it will start to move. It can move up to 60 centimeters a year. The pregnant women here use it during labor because it helps dilate the cervix and ease the birth. It's one of the best natural remedies we have around here. Nowadays, the younger generation doesn't care about medicinal plants. They want what's easy. They just go to the pharmacy. If they have a stomachache, for example, they buy pills. Whereas here, there's so much more, and it's natural, no chemicals.
Sin químico.
The modern world has been knocking at the Amazon's door for quite a while now. And today, Teo's life balances between these two opposing cultures that he would like to unite.
I see things from the indigenous point of view. I see a dim future for Pachamama, our Earth Mother. If man doesn't protect her, our planet will explode like a bomb. Look at all the wonders we have here, all this beauty. We should be careful with it and cherish it. Then Pachamama will thank us and take care of us.